Everything was gradually being forgotten. People were slowly forgetting their own culture and language, while foreign culture and language were taking over. But in the toughest of times, great men always emerged to find solutions and save their people once and for all. The great Ferdowsi was one of those legendary men who stood firm and created a mythical masterpiece, the Shahnameh. He preserved the Persian language once and for all in the soul of Iran's land and its people, so deeply that no one can ever take this language or culture away from them. Throughout the history of Iran, many great names have shone, but without a doubt, one of the brightest stars in the sky is Hakim Abulkasim Ferdowsi, a poet who, with his timeless masterpiece, the Shahnameh, breathed new life into the Persian language and reinforced the foundations of Iranian culture and identity. Ferdowsi was born around 940 AD in the village of Paj near Tus, in Khorasan, modern-day Iran. His childhood and youth passed during the Samanid era, a time when Persian literature and culture were reviving after centuries of Arab dominance. He was born into a Deccan family, a class of landowning farmers deeply committed to Iranian culture. This strong connection to ancient Iranian roots is evident throughout Ferdowsi's work. But Ferdowsi was not just a poet, he was the guardian of a nation's culture and language. At a time when Arabic had taken over in Iran and Persian was fading, Ferdowsi made a monumental decision to revive the Persian language. He realized that if a nation loses its language, its culture and identity will also be forgotten. In an era when Iranians were severely punished, tortured, or even mutilated for speaking Persian under Arab rulers, Ferdowsi could not bear this turmoil, and through his creation, stamped an eternal seal on the history and culture of Iran. And so, with unwavering determination, Ferdowsi began composing the Shahnameh, a work that took over 30 years of his life to complete. The Shahnameh is not just a book of poetry, it is the history of Iran, from the beginning of creation to the fall of the Sasanian Empire. Within it, myths, heroes, kings, battles, and wise men come together to tell the story of Iran's glory and suffering. Characters like Rostam, Sohrab, Siavash, Afrasiab, Khosrow, and Zahak are not mere legends. They are symbols of love, loyalty, wisdom, betrayal, and power. Ferdowsi tells these stories in elegant, eloquent language that resonates deeply in the heart of every Iranian. The Shahnameh is not just an epic, it is a full-fledged university for understanding the Iranian soul, ideals, and psyche. The language of the Shahnameh is pure Persian, meticulously purified of Arabic words. This was not done out of prejudice, but out of love for his mother tongue, and a desire to preserve national identity. Out of the Shahnameh's nearly 50,000 couplets, only a tiny percentage contain non-Iranian words. This reflects Ferdowsi's precision and deep concern. When Persian was being forgotten under the heavy shadow of Arabic, Ferdowsi lived with one great concern. To preserve Iranian identity, he decided to rewrite and versify the mythical and historical stories of ancient Iran to revive its grandeur. His main source was the Shahnameh of Abu Mansur, a prose text compiled before his time. With passionate verse and elevated language, Ferdowsi transformed that text into poetry and brought the Shahnameh to life. The Shahnameh is divided into three sections: the mythical age, creation of the world, Zahak, Kaveh the blacksmith; the heroic age, Rostam Sohrab and epic battles; the historical age, kings like Cyrus and Darius and the fall to Arab conquer. His work was a direct response to Arabization, reviving pre-Islamic Iranian culture through storytelling. Ferdowsi worked alone and received no major financial support for most of his writing. The Shahnameh is a grand and legendary work that, in mythical form, encompasses the entire history of Iran before the Arab invasion. Everything that the people of Iran, and even the world, should know about this land has been beautifully and eloquently woven into the stories of the Shahnameh. The Shahnameh contains over 50,000 lines of verse, beginning with the creation of the world and continuing to the end of the Sasanian dynasty. This work is divided into three parts: the mythical, the heroic, and the historical. Figures like Rostam, Sohrab, Siavash, Kaveh, Zahak, and Esfandiar are not only legendary heroes, but also moral and cultural symbols deeply rooted in the minds of every Iranian. The language of the Shahnameh is pure Persian, and Ferdowsi deliberately avoided using Arabic vocabulary. This quality has made the Shahnameh an unparalleled treasure of ancient Persian language. Every line of Ferdowsi's poetry is filled with deep insight and reflection. One such verse that deeply captures the human mind and provokes thought is the following poem. A poem that only someone with a profound worldview and deep understanding of life could compose. These are the final words of Feridun, the great mythical king of Iran, addressed to his Santo be shared with the people. Feridun was a legendary king, and people feared that Iran would fall apart after his death. a king whom people believed to be the Son of God. And for that very reason, Ferdowsi commanded his son to proclaim these words from the mountaintop. Ferdowsi the Blessed was no angel, nor born of musk and amber. Through justice and generosity he found greatness. Be just and generous, and you shall be Ferdowsi. Truly, what kind of worldview must one attain to craft such a profound and concise truth? Words that perhaps even the world's greatest philosophers could not express so clearly and accessibly. Indeed, Ferdowsi possessed exceptional wisdom and insight. Despite his greatness, Ferdowsi received little support in his own time. He composed the Shahnameh in the hope of gaining the favor of Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni. But the Sultan, due to religious bias and cultural differences, did not support Ferdowsi as deserved. It is said that instead of fulfilling his promise of reward, the Sultan sent Ferdowsi a meager sum, which deeply offended him. Ferdowsi passed away around 1025 AD, approximately 80 years old, in the city of Tus. It is said that due to his religious views and the injustices he endured, he was denied burial in the Muslim cemetery. Ferdowsi's legacy is not confined to the Shahnameh. He is considered the father of modern Persian. If today we speak, write, and read in Persian, it is largely thanks to his efforts. The Shahnameh inspired generations of poets and writers, from Nizami and Sadi to Niman Shamlu. Ferdowsi's influence has gone far beyond the borders of Iran. The Shahnameh has been translated into numerous languages and is taught in many universities around the world. As a key source in classical literature and mythology, Ferdowsi's mausoleum in Tus is now one of Iran's most important cultural landmarks. This tomb is not only a memorial to the man himself, but also a symbol of a nation's resistance to cultural oblivion. Every year, thousands visit this site to pay tribute to the poet who devoted his life to keeping the soul of Iran alive. Ferdowsi was not just a poet, he was the guardian of Iran's culture, language, history, and spirit. With the Shahnameh, he not only recounted Iran's past, but also saved the future of the Persian language. Today, centuries after his time, we still say, "I suffered greatly during these 30 years. I revived the Persian language with this Persian verse," and how beautifully he revived it. Ferdowsi will forever remain the voice of Iran. Today, more than 1,000 years later, Ferdowsi is recognized not only in Iran but across the globe as one of the greatest epic poets in history. The Shahnameh has been translated into multiple languages and is taught in universities worldwide. Scholars and lovers of literature, from Europe to America, from India to Japan, have bowed in reverence before his greatness. Ferdowsi's tomb in Tus is now a national symbol for Iranians. Every year, thousands from across Iran and around the world visit this place to honor the great man of Persian language and culture. This monument is not only Ferdowsi's resting place, but also a symbol of a nation's determination to protect its identity. Ferdowsi taught us that culture is not preserved by the sword alone, but through the pen, the word, and love. He showed that one person, through his artistic creation, can change the course of history. If Persian is still alive today, if Iranian children still hear the tales of Rostam and Sohrab, if ancient words still live on in songs and poems, we owe much of it to Ferdowsi. He says in one of his verses, "I endured much hardship during these 30 years. I revived the Persian people with this Persian tongue." And how true it is. He revived the Persian language, a language that millions now speak, write, compose poetry in, and love through. In the end, Ferdowsi was not merely a poet. He was the keeper of Iran's heritage, the voice of a nation's collective conscience, and a timeless emblem of Iranian thought and culture. Today, in a world where identities are vanishing rapidly, remembering Ferdowsi is more necessary and inspiring than ever. His name will shine forever in the heart of Iran.
To understand the grandeur of Ferdowsi's work and why Ferdowsi is a very important person for Iran and the world, take a good look at this map. After the Arabs gained power and slowly conquered all of West Asia and many parts of Africa, almost all of the lands of West Asia and many parts of Africa, including Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, and many West Asian countries, lost all of their linguistic identity and culture. The Arabic language became the dialect of those nations, and they acquired an Arab identity. Among them, only Iran was able to preserve all of its culture and language, and the Iranian nation owes all of this to Ferdowsi in large part. If Ferdowsi had not existed, the Iranian nation would have spoken Arabic, just like the Egyptian nation and all of the West Asian nations. The name of Ferdowsi will forever be immortal and alive for the Iranian people.